Hello, my name's Ken Royster. I'm the president and CEO of First Genesis of Virginia, and I want to welcome you to our inaugural debut of the First Genesis of Virginia YouTube channel.
Hi, everyone, and I'm Danica Royster, junior partner and wealth consultant, and also his daughter over at First Genesis of Virginia. So September is Life Insurance Awareness Month.
Really?
Really.
Okay.
As we all settle into our new normal, there are a few things that the pandemic has taught us. We have to prioritize the important things in life. That includes our health, our families, and of course, our finances. In 2019, LIMRA and Life Happens conducted a study where they found that nearly 50% of Americans say that they have no life insurance coverage at all, even though 2/3 of Americans recognize the need to obtain it. At some point in your life, you're probably going to be faced with the question of, should I buy insurance? And there's going to be some other things that come up, like how much should I have? How much is it going to cost? What's the right type? And those are all things that we're going to talk about today. One of the things that we always are going to emphasize on is that it's going to be important to speak with a financial professional when determining what type of coverage you need.
Would that be you?
That would be me, and I think that would be you too.
Oh, okay.
So let's take this for a spin and start talking about the different things that go into a life insurance policy, Dad. Okay. What are some things that people should consider?
Well, it's about 5 or 6 things that people should consider, but I would just tell them, start off with, think about a funeral cost. The cost of a funeral today can run $6,000 to $10,000 if you want to go over the top. I've seen some up in the $20,000 range. Just depends on what someone wants to do.
So if someone wanted like the Aretha Franklin, 3-day type of funeral situation, a small policy probably isn't going to cut it.
It's definitely not going to cut it. Okay, you're going to have to pay all those celebrities to come and speak and all these other things, and so no, it's not going to cut it. But let's just talk about a traditional family. A traditional family could expect to spend anywhere between $6,000 to $15,000, and that's a pretty wide range. But I've seen based on what people feel about their loved ones, and also a lot of it is their preparation. If they have the life insurance a proper amount, then they're prepared for this. They've already got the money in the life insurance policy to cover it. The other thing is, Danica, is paying off outstanding debts. From everything from your mortgage to your car payment to student loans for your children, or go a step further, let's just say having an educational fund that you were funding be complete by the life insurance that you have. The last thing that I would say about life insurance, but it is the absolute most important, is income replacement. A lot of people don't know how much life insurance they should be even buying. And so a basic staple would be 10 times your annual income. 10 times. And so, example, if you make $100,000, 10 times that is $1 million. That should be a minimum amount of life insurance that you should have. Then you add the burial costs, the other things that you have in there, like the expenses we already discussed, paying off debt and so forth and so on. And that way, you have adequate life insurance to sustain the family for an extended period of time without no economic hardship. The worst thing that I've ever seen is that when someone passes away and no one even knows whether there's life insurance in place or not. So with that being considered, I would say to you, talk to us about all the different types of policies that you can buy.
Okay. Well, there are 2 different types of insurance. There's term insurance and then there's permanent insurance. Term insurance, I like to call it like renter's insurance. Term is normally sold in increments of 10, 15, 20, and sometimes even 30 years. With term insurance, once the policy expires, the coverage ends, there's no more policy. Another thing with term insurance is it does not accumulate cash value. So it's a good policy to look at if you have, like we were talking about earlier, a mortgage, large student loans, and things of that nature. The next type of insurance would be a permanent policy. As the name suggests, permanent means it's going to be there your entire life, whole life policy. With that type of insurance policy, the premiums tend to be more expensive than it would be on a term. However, other than the factor of having fixed premiums and a policy that's going to last your entire life, you also have an element of cash value.
Oh, really? So are you telling me I can decide what kind of policy I want? Do I want a policy that I'm renting? I'm going to rent it for either 10, 20, or 30 years. If nothing happens in between there, I lose all my premiums.
that could happen, but most policies, a lot of policies, I should say, they give you an option to convert to a policy like a whole life
Okay.
or universal life, just some type of permanent policy.
Okay.
Once again, I would encourage the person who's interested to sit down and talk with a professional and come up with a strategy about what type of policy you want. If converting isn't important to you and maybe you have some short-term or mid-term type of need, then maybe a term insurance policy would be the best thing to look at.
Would you say that probably on average, more people, the average person is probably better off with more term insurance than they are with a small permanent insurance just because it has cash value?
I would say that that depends mostly on what that person's situation is, and once again, going back down to their initial financial goals and objectives.
Okay, so let me see if I got it right, because I think
Okay.
if you are young
Mm-hmm.
and have a family and you don't have a whole lot of money accumulated, you should get as much insurance as you can afford, okay, for the lowest premium possible.
I think that that's a great assessment.
Okay, and so if you're older and your children are gone and you've got your debt under control and the need for life insurance isn't as great as it was when you were younger, you might want to look at a permanent plan of insurance at that point to manage your costs and also to have some extra benefits like cash
Yeah.
for taking supplemental vacations or buying a new car or something down the road, right?
I agree. I think
Okay.
that's 100% on point. I think what you're saying is makes good sense. Once again, two different type of people, two different types of scenarios. One commonality is the need, making sure that there's enough coverage in place to cover those families and what they need. So we've reviewed the things that play a role in the insurance you need, the various types of insurance. Now the biggest thing, cost. You kind of talked about it earlier. I should say I talked about it regarding term being less expensive than a permanent policy, but there's some other factors that play a role too, such as your age. As a younger person,
All right, watch it now.
my policy should be cheaper than yours as an older person.
Unfair.
Well, hey, the numbers are the numbers. Numbers don't lie.
Okay.
And another thing is health. Someone who is healthier would be getting a better rating than someone who, let's say, have some health problems.
Let me give you an example. So you're telling me that a person who is 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, is going to pay less for insurance than somebody who's 5'5", 180 pounds, but also has diabetes and high blood pressure.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's why it's important to understand, number one, your own health profile. And that can also probably play a role in what type of policy you pick out as well. But
So,
like
Danica, would you tell me again, you think that these people on television, when they tell me I can buy this insurance for $10 and $15 a month, is that trying to entice me into something I'm probably not going to be able to get?
yes, that is the purpose of television, media, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
But what it does do is it sparks an interest.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, you got to go down to those three factors we talked about regarding what's the purpose, what's the type, and making sure that at the end of the day, your objectives and goals are being met, because life insurance isn't one size fits all.
Wow.
What's going to be good for me isn't going to be good for you.
Do you know, recently I had a grandparent call me up and said that they wanted to benefit their grandchildren with some life insurance on their life. Okay, they said that they want to know that when they pass away, outside of everything else that the rest of the family members are going to get, that's their immediate children and their spouse, they wanted their grandchildren to have a special offering through their life insurance, and they were willing to pay for it to make sure that the child was going to benefit. Is that a good idea?
That's a great idea.
Wow.
And that's how you get into leaving a legacy.
Uh-huh.
And those are some conversations we're always having, not only with clients, but also the community, in regards to how do you leave a legacy. And through life insurance, that's one way that you can do it.
So someone asked me the other day, they said, how do I know whether I can qualify or not qualify for life insurance? What is that process?
Underwriting.
Okay.
So the underwriting process, it ranges from getting some basic information like your date of birth, your social security number, and then we start doing some background checking. I wouldn't say it's me personally, but the underwriter. Your driver's license, your driving record plays a role. They want to get the information from your doctor, so an attending physician statement. And depending on the amount of insurance, some carriers also require a paramed exam.
Wow. So with all that being said, I mean, that's a lot of knowledge to take in. How do we get people to really but understand what we just now talked about? What's a good way for them to do that?
Well, since you all have been paying attention and I know taking meticulous notes, there's actually going to be a quiz listed in the bottom of the description box. So make sure you go down to the description box below, click on the link and take the quiz. Testing your knowledge, that way you can send it to friends, family, and see how much of a life insurance connoisseur you are now.
And drop us a note. Let us know how you did on the quiz. If you did 80% or better, we want to know that you really understand life insurance. If you did less than 80, you probably need to call us anyway so we can help you understand the rest that you don't.
So thank you again for tuning in. Make sure you all subscribe and also go follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and our website. All of those links will also be posted in our in the description box. This is one of many videos to come. We're listening and we're interested in finding out what other topics you guys want us to talk about. So until then, see you.
And make sure you send us an email with those topics.